No one escapes it. The heartbreak, the chaos, the cold silence after something you built crumbles overnight. Life will test you. Not once, but constantly. Sometimes it comes like thunder, other times like a whisper you didn't hear until it's too late. The friend who betrayed you, the job you thought was secure, the news that shatters your future plans in one sentence. And just like that, the ground beneath your feet shifts, your breath shortens, your heart races, and everything you thought you had control over vanishes. But here's the brutal truth. It was never yours to control in the first place. You can't stop the storm. You can't prevent the collapse. You can't make people stay or keep the world from turning upside down. But there is one thing, one sacred space the world can't touch, unless you abandon it. The Stoics called it the Inner Citadel, a fortress inside your mind, untouched by chaos, unbothered by noise, unshaken by anything external. Most people, they've never heard of it. They've never built it. And so they suffer, not just from pain, but from being completely defenseless against it. So let me ask you something. What if true strength isn't about avoiding collapse, but about standing tall after it happens? What if the greatest power is the ability to walk through hell with peace in your chest? That's what this video is about. Not philosophy for its own sake, but for the kind of person you become when the world tests you and you stay grounded. Anyway, let's talk about the place inside you where no one can reach, no matter how hard life tries. Let's begin with the truth you've probably felt, but never had words for. You've been giving the world too much access to your peace, and it's time to reclaim it. Before we build it, we need to understand it. The Inner Citadel isn't just a poetic metaphor. It's a Stoic cornerstone, most notably shaped by Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who ruled an empire while also waging silent wars inside his mind. To him, the Inner Citadel was this: a mind free from passion is a fortress, he wrote. Man has no stronger citadel. It's the mental stronghold that remains untouched, even when your plans fall apart, even when people misjudge you, even when everything you hoped for turns to ash. It's not about denial. It's not about suppressing emotion or pretending you're fine. It's about this. There is a version of you that nothing external can shake, that no insult can disturb, that no failure can humiliate. And most people never meet that version of themselves, because instead of building their fortress, they decorate the outside. They chase validation. They let every headline, opinion, or bad day rattle the walls of their peace. But not you. Not anymore. Because you're about to build a mind that bends but doesn't break, a soul that burns but never gets consumed, a heart that feels deeply but is never ruled by what it feels. That's the essence of Stoicism. And if that resonates with you, then take a moment right now to subscribe, because this channel is your training ground, where we sharpen the soul and fortify the mind. You're not here to watch. You're here to build. And that starts with the first mental shift. Mental shift 1. Learn to close the gates. Picture a fortress. Tall stone walls, iron gates, watchmen stationed at every corner. Now imagine if that fortress just left its doors open. Let strangers walk in. Let enemies whisper. Let chaos waltz right through the halls. That's what most of us do. Every single day, we wake up, and the gates are wide open, scrolling through news that inflames us, letting people's moods dictate ours, letting every distraction, opinion, and piece of bad energy crawl into our minds like it belongs there. The first Stoic shift to building your inner citadel is this: you must learn to close the gates. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." But that power starts with one thing: control of attention, and attention is a gate. Whatever you let in expands. The Stoics weren't just focused on what to think, they were obsessed with what to ignore. So how do you close the gates? Stop letting your phone be the first thing that greets you. Stop arguing with people who don't even understand themselves. Stop entertaining noise disguised as news. And stop mistaking urgency for importance. Every time you check a notification that didn't matter, every time you argue with someone just to feel seen, you've handed them the keys to your peace. And the Stoic? He smiles quietly, locks the door, and returns to what he can control. Because the inner citadel is not built through control of the world. It's built through mastery of what gets to enter your mind. Ask yourself right now, what am I giving access to that I need to shut out? And when you're honest about that answer, you've already begun building the first wall. Mental shift 2. Embrace voluntary discomfort. Most people are waiting for life to make them strong. They wait for a crisis, a heartbreak, a failure, before they decide to toughen up. But the Stoics? They didn't wait. They chose discomfort on purpose before they had to. Seneca, one of the sharpest Stoic minds, used to sleep on the floor and eat plain food for days. Why? To prove to himself that if everything were taken from him, he would still be him. That's the second mental shift. You build your inner citadel by embracing discomfort before it's forced on you. Because here's the truth. If you avoid every hard thing, you never find out how strong you really are. If you run from friction, you also run from growth. But when you willingly choose discomfort, waking up early, saying no to what's easy, training when you don't feel like it, facing the conversation you've been avoiding, you send a message to your mind. We are not fragile. And that message compounds. Every cold shower, every silent hour of deep work, every disciplined choice that no one sees, is a brick in your mental fortress. Comfort makes you soft, but discomfort, voluntary discomfort, turns your mind into steel. So ask yourself, where can I suffer strategically? Where can I push myself gently but intentionally? Where can I grow by leaning into the hard thing today, not tomorrow? Your inner citadel will never be built on ease, only through effort, chosen freely. Does it begin to rise? Mental shift 3. Redefine control. We crave control. We want people to act a certain way. We want life to move according to plan. We want the world to bend around our will. But Stoicism whispers a hard truth. Control is not what you think it is. Epictetus said it clean. Some things are up to us, and some things are not. Most of your anxiety? It comes from forgetting that. We stress over what others think. We worry about how we'll be perceived. We obsess over outcomes, likes, replies, results. But none of that is truly yours. The Stoic shift is this. Redefine control as what happens inside you. Your thoughts, your actions, your response, your effort, everything else, not yours to carry. This doesn't mean you give up on goals. It means you stop tying your peace to things outside your reach. You do the work without needing the reward. You speak the truth without needing agreement. You show up without needing applause. That is freedom, and that is the mindset of someone building their inner citadel, a fortress so steady that chaos outside becomes irrelevant because clarity reigns within. So next time life feels heavy, ask the most Stoic question of all. Is this within my control? If yes, act. If no, release. Either way, you win. Most people today aren't fighting lions or invading armies. We're not dodging arrows or protecting cities from siege. But make no mistake, we are at war every single day. It's a quieter war, a more deceptive one. We're battling distractions, cravings, comparison, noise. We're surrounded by 1,000 little temptations, each one pulling at our focus, chipping away at our attention, and most dangerously, eroding our self-respect. You open your phone just to check one thing, and an hour disappears. You tell yourself you'll start tomorrow, and weeks vanish in silence. This is the battlefield, and the enemy wears many masks. Comfort, convenience, notifications, numbness. But you're not powerless. Not if you remember who you are. Not if you build that fortress inside, where no algorithm can reach you, where no external noise can break through. And if you're still with me, if this message resonates, take a moment now to subscribe, because this channel is where we train together, where we rebuild strength from the inside out. This is a digital space for warriors of the mind, for people who choose clarity over chaos and discipline over distraction. So hit that button, and let's keep sharpening the blade, because your inner citadel won't build itself, but together. Brick by brick, we will build it. Close your eyes for a second. Imagine a walled fortress, not made of stone or steel, but of values, beliefs, clarity, and self-command. This is the inner citadel, your unshakable stronghold, built not with your hands, but with every hard decision you make that no one sees. It's the moment you wake up at 5 a.m. to write. Even though you feel like trash, it's the time you say no to that second drink. Even though everyone's celebrating, it's when you keep showing up, even when no one claps, no one posts about it, and no one validates it. The inner citadel is built in silence. While the world is screaming for attention, it's formed through repetition, through restraint, through radical honesty. It is not a fantasy, not some philosophical metaphor to sound smart. The Stoics meant it literally. Marcus Aurelius wrote about it often. The mind is the ruler of the soul. It can turn all things into fuel for its own strength. That means every hardship, every insult, every delay can either break you or build your citadel. It's all about how you interpret, how you respond, how you choose to feel in the face of what happens when you're criticized unfairly, and you resist the urge to lash out. That's one brick when you're exhausted, but you train anyway. Another brick when you meditate instead of scrolling, apologize instead of defending, read instead of numbing. You're adding stone after stone, layer after layer, to the strongest structure you'll ever own, and eventually, something changes. You stop getting rattled by every inconvenience. You stop taking things so personally. You stop leaking energy to people who don't even matter, because now, there's a stillness inside you, an order, a code, a voice that says, I know who I am, no matter what happens out there. And that voice? That's your inner citadel speaking. That's Stoicism at work. Not on your bookshelf, but in your blood. This is what we're building. Not motivation, not hype, but a state of being. One that can stand through heartbreak, failure, and even success without crumbling. That's real power, and it can't be given, only earned. Your inner citadel isn't destroyed in one massive collapse. It's weakened quietly, silently, one choice at a time, not by war drums, but by whispers, by the just this once, the I deserve it, the I'll start tomorrow. That's how the walls begin to crack, not by force, but by neglect. You start skipping your routines, you start compromising your boundaries, you start avoiding discomfort, and before you know it, the discipline you spent months building, gone, replaced by distractions dressed up as self-care, by comfort that slowly becomes a cage. And here's the terrifying part. These enemies are invisible. They don't come knocking loudly. They slip in while you're scrolling, while you're procrastinating, while you're numbing out to avoid facing your truth. The first enemy, comfort addiction. It tells you rest is always the answer, that ease is the reward. But what it never tells you is that comfort unchecked leads to decay. Your edge softens, your urgency fades, and your goals drift further and further away. The second, mental clutter. Too many tabs open in your head, too many goals, too many distractions. You're constantly stimulated, but never centered. You become reactive, impulsive, and when you're always reacting, you're never truly in control. The third enemy, self-deception. Telling yourself you're figuring things out when you're really just afraid to begin. Convincing yourself that the small lie won't matter, that skipping the habit isn't a big deal, that avoiding the hard thing is. Just you being gentle with yourself. But lies, no matter how small, chip away at your fortress. They rot the foundation, and once the rot spreads, it doesn't stop until you stop it. And finally, the most dangerous enemy of all, noise, external opinions, trends, headlines, chaos. It drowns out your own voice, replaces your inner compass with someone else's map. And the longer you listen, the more lost you become. This is why the Stoics trained their minds daily, why they practiced stillness, why they journaled, reflected, and fasted from pleasure, not because they were monks, but because they were warriors. And they knew the war was internal. So ask yourself, who or what have you let inside your gates? What enemy have you been feeding, tolerating, excusing? It's time to call it out and take back your ground, because if you don't guard your mind, no one else will. A citadel isn't built in a day, and it isn't strengthened by chance. It's built brick by brick, through daily action, deliberate effort, and unwavering repetition. Your mind is no different. It's not your thoughts alone that shape you. It's the rituals you live by that define you. Marcus Aurelius didn't become unshakable by thinking noble thoughts. He wrote every day, reflected every morning, checked his impulses every night. So if you want to build your inner citadel, don't look for magic, look for rhythm. Let's talk about a few practices that reinforce the walls of your mind. 1. Morning fortification. When the first hour, the way you start the day, either sharpens your sword or dulls your edge, don't wake up and surrender to the chaos. Instead, silence before stimulation, journaling before scrolling, movement before messages. Even 15 minutes of stillness can center your mind, ground you in purpose, and remind you you're not just reacting to life, you're leading it. 2. Mental rehearsal, the premeditation of adversity. The Stoics practice something called premeditatio malorum, imagining what could go wrong before the day begins, not to live in fear, but to prepare for it. Before you start your day, ask, what might test me today? What emotions might hijack me? How do I choose to respond? You're building neural pathways so that when the test comes, you've already rehearsed strength. 3. Momentary pauses, the power of the gap. Between stimulus and response, there is a gap, a sacred space where your power lives. Practice micro-pauses throughout your day, before replying, before reacting, before indulging. It's a split-second decision that decides, will you be ruled by impulse or by intention? 4. Evening review, strengthening with reflection. Every night, sit with yourself, ask, where did I stand strong today? Where did I fall short? What can I do better tomorrow? Seneca did this. Epictetus encouraged it. Not to shame himself, but to refine himself. Self-awareness is how the mind sharpens itself, day by day, lesson by lesson. 5. Voluntary discomfort. Tempering your spirit. Practice doing what's uncomfortable, not recklessly, but intentionally. Cold showers, early rising, tech fasting, choosing the hard task first. Each act is a small rebellion against softness. A declaration that you are in control, not your comfort, because when life hits, you won't crumble, you'll already be forged. These aren't just habits, they're architectural decisions. Each one strengthens your inner citadel. Each one says, I am not a slave to this world. I am the master of my response to it. The stronger your discipline, the stronger your peace. The stronger your peace, the higher your clarity. And from that place, you don't just survive life, you command it. Philosophy that can't walk into your office, stand in the tension of a fight, or sit in silence during heartbreak isn't real philosophy. Your inner citadel isn't some abstract shrine, it's a portable fortress. A structure you carry into every interaction, every project, every conflict, every setback. Let's explore what that looks like. Relationships, stillness in the fire. People will misunderstand you, disappoint you, betray your trust. They'll raise their voices, say what they shouldn't, and expect you to react from the same storm they're caught in. But your citadel is silence. It says, I don't need to match your chaos to prove I'm present. It's not weakness to pause. It's strength to listen when the ego wants to strike. It's power to speak truth, not for dominance, but for peace. Marcus Aurelius wrote, when you wake each morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant. Not in resentment, but in preparation, so that when they arrive, you don't fall apart. You simply respond with grace. Work, focus in the frenzy. Your inbox is screaming, the deadline's approaching. Your mind wants to split in 10 directions, but in your citadel, you don't scatter, you return to what matters. Ask yourself, what is the task at hand? What's mine to control here? Where is my power in this moment? Discipline isn't doing everything, it's doing the right thing, with unwavering focus. Remember this, in a world where people chase dopamine, your depth becomes a superpower. Chaos. Calm within the quake. The unexpected will come, the phone call at midnight, the layoff email, the loss you didn't see coming. This is when your citadel must rise. It's in those moments, when the outer world is collapsing, that the inner world must not. A Stoic doesn't pretend the storm isn't real. They simply refuse to let it decide their character. Breathe, return to center. Say to yourself, this too is a test, and I was built for it. Not because you're invincible, but because you've trained for the moment life becomes a battlefield. So whether you're loving someone, building something, or losing what you thought you'd always have, your inner citadel is there, not to keep you from life, but to carry you through it. Because the one who is unmoved within moves everything outside with precision, peace, and power. Every citadel has its threats, not always in the form of armies or disasters, but in whispers, subtle cracks, unnoticed rot. Your inner citadel isn't destroyed in one massive blow. It weakens from the inside, slowly, silently, daily. Let's look at the quiet enemies. 1. Distraction, the silent invader. Every time you reach for your phone mid-thought, every time you open another tab instead of finishing your task, every time you let noise replace intention, you chisel away at your focus. Seneca once said, "To be everywhere is to be nowhere." When your attention is scattered, so is your power. The fortress collapses, not because of an attack, but because the guards fell asleep scrolling. 2. Dependency, letting the outer world decide the inner. When your sense of worth depends on approval, likes, applause, you give the key to your citadel away. You say, "Here, stranger, decide if I get to feel strong today." That's not freedom. That's psychological slavery. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, ambition means tying your well-being to what other people say or do. Sanity means tying it to your own actions. If your inner world can be dictated by gossip, numbers, or trends, you don't have a citadel, you have a shack in the storm. 3. Self-pity, the termite of the mind. It sounds like, why me? I can't take this anymore. Life is just unfair. It feels innocent, even justified, but self-pity is rust on steel. It erodes resilience. It convinces you you're a victim, not a warrior. Epictetus said it plainly. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. And when you adopt that truth, you stop giving life the power to define your strength. 4. Lack of reflection, leaving the gate open. You can't defend a fortress you don't inspect. When you rush from day to day, without pausing to ask, where did I slip? What provoked me today? Did I guard my thoughts or let them run wild? You let the enemy sneak in through unguarded corners. Journaling is a Stoic practice for a reason. Reflection is how you walk the perimeter of your citadel each night. Check the locks, sharpen the edges, prepare for tomorrow. If you don't confront these enemies, your strength leaks in silence. And when the real crisis hits, you'll find the walls were made of sand. But if you do confront them, you become impenetrable, not because life is easy, but because you are ready. You don't need to travel to a mountain. You don't need to wait for the perfect moment. You don't need a guru, a course, or a breakthrough. The truth. You were born with the blueprint. The Stoics didn't give you the fortress. They reminded you it was already there. When Epictetus spoke of the will, he meant the part of you that remains untouched by loss, praise, injury, or fortune. When Marcus Aurelius returned to his journal each night, he wasn't creating strength. He was remembering it. That unshaken place inside you. That's the inner citadel. It's not a fantasy. It's not a metaphor. It's a muscle, and every hard choice, every disciplined day, every time you say no to chaos and yes to clarity, you strengthen its walls. When you choose stillness over noise, integrity over approval, purpose over pleasure, you lay brick upon brick until one day the storms come. And you're still standing, not because life spared you, but because you trained for this. Remember this. You are not the storm. You are the one it crashes against. You are not the chaos. You are the silence beneath it. When the world speeds up, you slow down. When noise surrounds you, you return inward. Because in the end, the inner citadel is not some distant ideal. It is a decision repeated in quiet moments. It is a practice forged in private battles. It is a presence built when no one is watching. The Stoics didn't promise comfort. They promised control. Not over the world, but over yourself. And that's the only victory that ever mattered. So the next time doubt creeps in, the next time temptation whispers, the next time you're pulled away from what matters, repeat this. Let it echo in your bones like a war drum. You are the wall. You are the fire. You are the fortress, and nothing breaks through unless you open the gate. If this spoke to you, let me know in the comments. What's one practice you're committing to strengthen your inner citadel? Subscribe if you haven't, because every video on this channel lays another brick, another line of defense, another reminder that your mind is your home, and it's worth protecting with everything you've got. This is Stoic discipline, and we don't just study philosophy. We live it until we become it, brick by brick, battle by battle, quietly, unshakably, unbreakably. You build and build and build, until one day, you look around and realize you've become the citadel.